Oh my God, Jesus
Money, money,
innocence.
money. Money, money, money. We got that fly, you and money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. Money, 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 money. We got that fly, newbie and money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that fly no being money. Boss talk, don't we stack it up. We talk about that money. We all that money. I know we in money. I know we in money.
Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Hump Day. Welcome to Fly New Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. And today, I just lost my doctor that I need. Um, Today, we are talking about a really interesting topic, y'all. I found something that made the hairs on my neck, if I have them, stand up. And so I came across an article or a video, and it was kind of a shocking revelation for me. So during a testimony, um, during a testimony about why one of the convicted men. Okay, so let's reverse a little bit. A moment from a recent murder trial has sparked a major conversation online after a former prison warden openly described young inmates as valuable labor for the prison system. During testimony about why one of the convicted men should receive life in prison instead of the death penalty, the former warden argued that young, healthy inmates are needed for prison labor and referred to them as sweat equity. The language immediately made me uncomfortable because it sounded not like rehabilitation, but more like slavery. So, for years, people have debated whether the prison system in America profits from mass incarceration, which we know that they do, particularly the sweat of the Black man. So, this conversation is more about just a courtroom statement. It really is about what's happening, the reality of what's happening with mass incarceration, Black men being arrested and put in prisons, sentencing. I want to just talk about it all today. Unfair sentencing, mass incarceration, all the things. And so, of course, I can't have this conversation by myself. I am joined by the most beautifulest, the most amazing queens that on this side here, right? I'm joined by Dr. Angeline, and Renee, Dominique Morgan. I'm so sorry. Y'all, I know I'm a little under the weather today, but I am going to push through anyway. So thank you for your grace, because I'm on the ones and twos and I don't feel well. So I want to dive into this conversation, and if Dr. Felice comes back, then we have Felice as well. So I want to dive just headfirst into this conversation, and just first and foremost, had you heard this comment, Dominique? I'll come to you first. Had you seen this story? Do you know anything about the Julio Fulio rapper being murdered and all of that? Do you know anything about it?
No, not at all. No.
That's okay. That's okay. But had you, how do you feel about basically what he said?
So what it sounds like, it shifted from justice to economics, a way to make money, free labor. And when you think about what they make in a prison system, if they make anything at all, it's like, is this really about justice, or is this about new age slavery? So those were kind of my thoughts initially. Like, what's really behind it, right? Is it really about justice, or is it about economics? Is it about free labor?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you, Dr. Angeline? What do you think?
So I didn't know too much about the rapper's part, but I did hear the story. He said the quiet part out loud. I wasn't shocked. I was not surprised. The 13th Amendment, there's a lot of coalitions right now.
Uh-oh. Is that can you hear her or is it just me? Okay. Dr. Angeline, we can't hear you. So maybe go out and come back in.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now, but you're frozen. So maybe just go out and come back in
Okay.
so we can hear what you have to say. Because I was just about to say,
Okay.
Dr. Angeline was about to mention, wait, are you frozen still? I think she's okay. Yeah, we having all kind of little technical difficulties. Let me tell you about today. You hear me? Like some days producing is a breeze, but some days, where's my cigarette? Listen, where is my cigarettes?
I
Oh
see
my
you.
God.
I see you throwing your papers.
I'm doing my papers. Dr. Lene brought me some cigarettes. Like this is this is how I feel today. You know what I'm saying? These are bubble gum, y'all. These are bubble gum. But Lene, whenever I get stressed out, Lene just all right. So what Dr. Angeline was about to say, I think, was she was about to reference the 13th Amendment. And as you know, this is the United States Constitution abolished slavery with the 13th Amendment and involuntary servitude across the nation, unless you were sent to prison, then then there was that one like caveat to forced labor of people. And so let's bring Dr. Angeline back in here and see what she had to say.
Sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that. Can you hear me
It's
now?
okay. It's okay. I was smoking a
Okay.
cigarette while you were gone. Shit. Jeez. Jesus. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What were you about to say?
So I said, originally I said I was not surprised by the comment at all. He said the quiet part out loud. Um, Most of us do know that prison labor is about Black bodies. It's political, it's financial, it's economics. And as long as that small clause is still in the 13th Amendment, plantation is real. I keep saying the plantation didn't end, it just rebranded.
And just rebranded. It's
Mhm.
interesting because we've been talking about the rebranding of a lot of things. What DEI is rebranding, what these code words are just yesterday, which was such a good conversation yesterday. But
Yes.
we've been talking about that, right? And you're right. That's so interesting that you say it that way because I America can be really frustrating in terms of we're being gaslit it's like we're being gaslit every day to not think a thing is really the thing, but it's the thing, right? We want to keep certain things going and certain things in because how else will we function as a company or excuse me, a country if we don't have that labor that the country was built on, right? You don't have those bodies. So figuring out how to still get those bodies was obviously what they came up with the 13th Amendment. So let's jump into this first video. Um and let's just kind of set the foundation for this story and we can hear what he has to say.
Physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes, with my experience, not only just in classification, but as a former warden and even as a jail administrator.
Uh-oh.
Based on Mr. Gathright.
Uh-oh. 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 Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah, I may have to grab the other part of it, whatever it like broke it up. Okay. So basically, hold on. Let's run the first video and then we'll come back to the actually hearing him say the words. But let's go here.
What do you mean sweat equity? I think the term you're looking for is slave labor.
So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
The fact that the for-profit prison system needs more bodies for slave labor should have absolutely zero factor in an individual person's sentencing. Their crime and their crime alone should be the factors in sentencing. Also maybe criminal history and their likelihood to reoffend, but You have to watch this.
Based on Mr. Gathwright's age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes, with my experience, not only just in classification, but as a former warden and even as a jail administrator. He's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration, we have that. So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
Sweat equity? Really? You mean slave labor. Oh, the slave labor that you currently have is getting old, so you need new, young, strong slave labor? To be clear, this is not what sweat equity means. Sweat equity is when you work on a house that you own and increase the value of the home with your labor. Sometimes they use the term in startups when there's not a lot of money to go around, but they need the work. And it's basically like an investment. You do a bunch of work now, and in the future, you get paid when the business takes off. It's, I don't know. It's also something Habitat for Humanity will do when they have a future homeowner helping to build houses that they will someday live in. You might notice in all those scenarios I laid out that the person doing the labor gets something in return for the labor eventually, right? What they're talking about is slave labor. Because as we all know, the 13th Amendment didn't really abolish slavery. It just made it so that private citizens couldn't own slaves, but the government could. I don't know how much more evidence we need that our prison system is just slave labor.
That's it. That's it. Just slave labor. I'm going to hop in. I saw your faces while he was talking. So now that you've heard the entire statement, Dominique, how did that make you feel?
Angry.
Tell me about
Angry.
it.
Because we're not talking about justice. We're talking about modern day slavery. We're talking about free labor, not what he did, but what he can do for the system, what he can do to make money for the system. Like, I just think that it's just ridiculous, and it's just crazy. Like, it made me angry, and especially because I have an African American son. So imagine hearing somebody say that out their mouth, so callous. Oh, we can put them to work, but is there really justice? Or you just need bodies to work? And it's clear they need people to work. And so guess what? Our African American men, because we know that they're incarcerated at a higher rate, are the ones that are going to end up suffering from this.
Absolutely. What about you, Dr. Angeline? What do you think?
Again, I don't think I'm surprised because this is where I work. This is part of the work that I do and I do now. Even when I looked at the title of the slide, calling them inmates, right? That's a word we don't use. They're not inmates, right? When you talk about them in the sense of an inmate or in the sense of sweat equity, you deny their humanity. And so when you hear him say this, it reduced, for me, I too was angry, and it does something to the inside of your body, right? To me, it rattles your nervous. I know for me, it does, rattles my nervous system when I hear it. But language is power, and you keep calling them that long enough, they will believe that they're less than. And we call them justice impacted individuals, any type of language that starts with person first. Because if not, and that's what this guy is saying, I don't see his humanity. I see him as money, working, a body that is able, young. He said it, young, and he's right. A lot of the veterans that are in prison are dying. What is it called? Death by prison, death by age, something. I can't think of it right now, but it's so he's on point. He knows exactly what he's talking about. And so recruiting his body at this young age, oh, please, he got a good 50 years of free labor that he could use. So.
And I want to piggyback and say something else. So when you're thinking about the goal is rehabilitation, if your mindset is free labor, are you really rehabbing these people to live right outside of here? So say they don't get these heavy sentences, right? And they can eventually go home. Are we really putting that effort and that energy towards rehabbing them? Or are they just coming in as free labor people, to come in, free slavery in a sense. So we have to think about that too. What is the energy that they're putting in to rehab these people to successfully transition home after their sentence is up?
But then the question is that really the goal? That's not the goal for every prison. So if the goal is not rehab, and if you don't have like I could say right here in the city of Philly, our prosecutor, he don't play all that. And he will look at the crime, he will fight, he looks at what happened, what is the system that failed prior to these people even coming in and all of this happening. And so he catches a lot of hell nationally. But he don't care. He'll get right on that TV and cuss you right out. Because he is seeing the people as humans.
You know what's interesting about this whole situation is, we think about the prison pipeline and it's starting in third and fourth grade. It might even be earlier now, right? It starts early. So I wonder if instead of saying they, I kind of want to flip it on us in a sense where if we know that there's a pipeline and we know that we can see our children, we know, some of our kids are being put in school systems that are rearing them and not teaching them. I wonder if we can start at the root and start to mentor our boys and girls in a different direction. If there's something we can find in the beginning that doesn't put them on this pipeline, or I know I was talking to Deborah E. Williams, who was in the chat. What's up, Deborah? Earlier, and she was saying something about just like putting billboards up and letting them know the game, right? Before they even put themselves, I guarantee you, if a lot of Black men saw themselves saw this video or saw white people talking about Black men in that way, it would make them think a little bit more. Or maybe, it's just where we are as a society where people these young men don't value life as much. Right? They don't see themselves as valuable. And that goes back to what you just said, Dr. Angeline. When I used to teach, I used to tutor in the New Orleans public school system when I was a freshman in college. And a lot of the kids were just concerned about making money. They felt like they really couldn't see a future that didn't end in violence or being killed. A lot of them could not read, especially the boys. I felt like there was just not a lot of, direction, right? There, you really couldn't control them. The mindset was like, we don't care, right? It's just very giving YN energy, right? That what they call YN, which I think they're young kings, but that's the way they see themselves, like as YNs instead. So I guess my question to you both is, I wonder what we could do to keep them from this, but then also what kind of messages do we need to start telling our boys and girls early that this is a game, right? Mass incarceration was intentional. We live in a country that would rather you go to jail than rather you go to school. They would put more money, invest more money into the prisons, which they have built more prisons than built more schools or pay teachers better. So I wonder, what can we do to start, just really showing our our boys and girls that it's a game, and this is a game, and they want you to fall for it. Dominique, I'll start with you.
I think a lot has to do with being present as parents, right? So we're super busy. We have to work. We're not available. We leave it up to the teachers to raise our children and educate our children. We have to take our power back, right? And we, back in the day, moms were able to stay at home, but the way everything is set up, it makes it real difficult, which means that our kids are kind of going back to latchkey kids. So I would speak to Chicago, right? We keep having these teen takeovers that are crazy, right?
Yes.
And everybody was like, it's the parents. To an extent, it is the parents. But a lot of it is just not having the supervision because the parents are not available. The way things are set up now, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. Yes. So we have to get to the point where we're coming together, more men stepping up. yes,
Yeah.
we as women we do a good job, but we need men stepping up, having conversations, mentoring, and even with the when I think about young boys, there are a lot of programs for girls, but there are not as many programs, mentoring programs, structured programs for young boys. And so when I see these things on social media, we need more of those things because the kids need exposure. If they're in an impoverished area, right? They don't see nothing else. They don't see hope. Sometimes exposure is better than education. They don't have the exposure. They have the men in the street that are not about nothing, that's showing them attention, giving them energy, showing them how to make money. So naturally, they're going to gravitate to that. Then they go to school, and a lot of these kids, especially our boys, are bullied by teachers, right? And I can speak to my son. I just happen to be in position to be able to advocate for my son and pull him out of school. They are capable of learning, maybe not the same way. Some kids, boys are busy, right? And so, when they go to school, the teachers are discouraging them at school. So a lot of times the parents are not saying anything. They're not coming and standing up for their children. And so if the boys think they're not smart, they think that they can't do it. They think that they're a problem because their teacher is telling them this stuff. What do they do long term, right? They fall into this pipeline. Because what are the other options? I'm not smart. I'm not capable of learning. I have a behavior problem. So what do? We need more programming, especially for our inner city impoverished areas that show them that there's hope. Take them out of the inner city and show them something different. But it takes effort on our part. And that's where we fall short because we don't have the money nor the time. Who has the time? Who cannot afford to not work? Most people can't. And so with us working all the time, the kids are getting information from the people that we don't want them to get the information from. And then they're learning from each other, social media, everything that will set them up for this pipeline. So we just need more. I really believe that we need more programming. We need to get back to community. And I say this all the time. We need to get back to community. We have to take our power back, even if it's slowly, but we have to get back to that where if you're not available, Tierra, I'm coming. I got your baby. Yep. That's what we have to be. I'm your baby's mother. She's with me. Yep. I got her. To make sure that she's good. You can't go up to the school because you got to work. I'm going up there on your behalf. And I think that's where we can potentially change this.
Yeah. What about you, Dr. Angeline? What do you have to say?
Whew.
That was a word.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you infused the education piece. So Dominique, you're 150%, which is why my work is called the Communiverse and the Communiversity, because our communities have to be the universities for our children. It does take a village. And so I can speak to this because that's some of what my nonprofit does. Take inner city kids. I remember we took a group of inner city kids. First of all, let me just say this. Some of these kids have not gone from the east section to the west section of their neighborhoods, let alone someplace else. Okay. When I first went into one of the cities here, I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean you haven't been across town? It's not even 10 miles. What you mean? Right. Mm-hmm. But again, they would be put in danger just doing that. When I had my nonprofit, before I went back to school, we had parent advocates that went up to the school in case you couldn't come, and they knew the laws, they knew the policies, they knew how to fight for anybody's child. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, we do have to come back to that. And I love, Tierra, the fact that you used the word, the game, right? Mm-hmm. Because even when I was in grad school, that's what they kept saying to me. Girl, you got to play the game. You just got to play the game. And I said, so what do you do when playing the game relegates my Black body to game? PREY, right? Because that's what you're doing. And that's the game that you want me to play. And it's not just, it was a lot of those who looked like me that wanted me to play this game as well and stay silent. So this thing is in many layers. We keep saying Black boys, but I'm here to let you know that the women's numbers in prison are going up just as much as the men. And so it is a crisis. I just got the report for the state that I live in on education. It was scary. Our young children, as far as kindergarten, are being expelled. They're almost being shackled. They're put in solitary confinement. It's all these things are happening now, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because we need to have more of these conversations. And somebody, when I was shared the report, I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do? Like, we can't just look at this report and act like we don't see it. What's next? So this is a heavy conversation. It's a real conversation. And even not only about the curriculum, even how schools are designed on the outside, right? They're looking at how are we designing our schools on the outside so that they look like prisons.
They look like
And
prisons.
so there's a whole bunch of things that are getting them prepared. So
like
yeah,
grooming. It's the
that's
pipeline.
exactly what it
It's
is.
grooming. It's grooming. So,
Yeah.
you spend your whole life. It's so funny. It says that 1 in 5 Black men born in 2001 is likely to be imprisoned at some point in their lifetime, compared to 1 in 17 with white men, right? And so we know that there's a target. It's a target. There's unfair, unequal sentencing. I mean, we face all kinds of things like that's unfair, and we understand why. Like, I think we all understand on this panel why this is happening. Unfortunately, it's just like, I wonder, and if you are just joining, because I saw some people come in and ask what the topic was, we are talking about a video that we saw where basically an ex-warden was saying that the reason why there were some young men who were involved in a murder trial, is 4 of them. The reason why they shouldn't be given the death penalty is because they were young and healthy, and it almost sounded like an auction block. Did you hear the language? It, like, the way that he sound, almost like I could see 4 Black men standing up, as cattle, right? Being sized up. That's what it sounded like. That's what it felt like. And it just gave me chills, really. And I will replay the video at some point if it's not attached to the other videos that I have. But let's actually get into our next video. Let's see what we have here, because I'm watching these videos unfold just like you are. We'll be right back.
Man, look, I don't know where to start, but let's talk about it. So the Julio Fulio case or trial ended, and all 4 of the killers got life in prison. All right, they voted against the death penalty. And I'm seeing a lot of videos about this young man right here, Sean. And Sean grew up pretty good. Had what a lot of us would say amazing life growing up. You know what I'm saying? Pretty good, right? But he wanted to be a follower, and this is what following gets you. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Being a part of a beef that ain't got nothing to do with you, that you don't really know nothing about. You just following. You know what I'm saying? You want to be down so bad. But a lot of people are now shifting their focus to the fact that the warden, or the former warden, whoever, basically went into court and said, look, we want him for basically slavery. He's a good, strong young man, this, that, and the third. His value is why we need to keep him alive. You know what I'm saying? Strong young man, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. And I see a lot of people upset about it. But why are y'all upset? They've been doing this. This is what it is. Now, I hope this wakes up the youth. I hope this wakes up the young men that's out there in them hoods and different things like that, being like, nah, bro, I ain't, hell no, I ain't doing that shit. No, I'm going home. Street lights on, I'm going home. You know what I'm saying? I hope this wakes them up. Because, bruh, spending the rest of your life in prison, and I think Sean is like 20, something like that. Like, it's like he should be in college somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, I hope this wakes up the youth, bruh. I really hope it does. Because, but it probably won't. It probably won't. And that's sad. And that's really sad, man, because we're going to wake up one day and we're going to see another case just like this. And we're going to see another case and another case and another case. When will it end? When will it end?
All right. So that is part of, so, he said that he hopes the youth, and I think that's what we were saying, right? We hope that there is something that the youth can start to see cases like this and say, I'm not throwing away my life. Now, what I didn't know, as this young man, Sean, the one that is used as kind of the poster child for this case, that's all over the news. I think why his story is so gripping is because he was just like, just think about the good kid, like he said, that had a good background, that came from a good home. That he wasn't no YN considered. He just was caught up in a Y, caught up trying to be down. And unfortunately, it's cost him now his whole life. Right. So let's talk about that. Dominique, I'll come to you on this. What can we say, and how have you prepared your son for situations like this, where it's like, I'm constantly telling my daughter, it matters who you're around. Your environment is everything. Stop hanging around people that will get you in trouble, because this could be the precautionary tale. So, like, how did you talk to your son when he was growing up about situations like this?
So I constantly have conversations because he's 15.
Mm,
The good thing is he's kind of introverted, so he doesn't do a whole lot. Thank God. But I just have conversations. Like if you see something going on, you go the other way. Like I've also we have raised him to be an independent thinker. Like they did a walkout at their school. He chose to not do the walkout. Now this is a free time. Most kids are gonna walk out. He like, listen, I got work to do. I don't see the point. I'm gonna stay in school. So we've taught him to be an independent thinker. We've taught him to, it's okay if you go the opposite way if something's going on. Like you can avoid all of that so that you're not caught up in this stuff, because evil communication corrupts good manners, right? You'll end up in trouble. You don't have to steal. You could have just been with the thief. And so having those conversations, just letting them know, like you can get caught up in some serious stuff and have nothing to do. You're just in the car. You're just a rider. And guess what? You're going to jail because you were riding and somebody killed somebody and you could not have a clue, but you were in the car with them. So just having real conversations, being present, knowing where he is, loving on them. Because I know people talk about coming from a good home. And ideally, what does that look like, right? So I don't know his situation. So is he coming from a good home where the parents were present? Or was he coming from a good home where the parents were able to provide, but they weren't present? That's a big difference. And we need to have that conversation as well, because you can give them all the money in the world, but they want your time. They want you to be there. And that's what they need. So when we talk about good homes and a good background, what does that really look like? And I really think it goes back to us being more present, having a village, having these conversations, not just with the children, but having conversations with the other parents so that we know who our children are aligned with, and going from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't play no games. Like we be all in my daughter's business, right? Like who is that? Well, who is she up at
Yeah.
the schools? Our her counselors will call and be and what you said about community, what you said about making sure that they're in an environment where it's like, well, they know you. And they're like, well, I'm gonna call Tiara. I'm gonna call your mother and we're gonna talk about it. Hey, literally her advisor called me and was like, hey, so I don't like the girls that Lauren is hanging around. And so we nipped it in the bud. So if you have, I'm always thinking like I need eyes, and
Yeah.
preferably eyes that look like mine, that are brown like mine, brown skin like mine, right? So I always point out the aunties at the school and
Yeah.
make sure that I have a relationship with them. Dr. Angeline, I know that you come from, obviously you work with children. So how do you all have conversations with them about who they're around and the potential dangers if they go unchecked?
So I agree with everything that was said, but I'm gonna say this. When I heard that guy, the last video, a part of me wanted to say, "Shut the hell up," because I wanted to ask, "What are you doing?" Right? It's easy to get on here and to say all of that, but just because you come from a good home, these streets is real, and sometimes even if the kids are the best kids, you have drilled into them, there's still sometimes that they want to be with the crowd. And that can happen. It does not mean that these kids ain't gonna get it. These kids, like, all that hype, all of that kind of stuff, and people talking like that to them, to me, is
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yep.
And so when you can create those safe spaces, safe, brave spaces, and that's what we did. Like, when I had, before I developed the boxes, right? We actually did it as a pilot program where we had the kids, not just the boxes, we had the kids. And to hear all the stuff and to put them around others, right, that were just like them, and to hear what they were dealing with, to hear what they were going through, to hear what they were being called. And I think, Dominique, you said it, sometimes by the teachers even, right? It was a good space to open up our eyes, to begin to educate parents, and just to let them vent, just to let them air out. And I remember at the end, and giving them access and opportunities, taking them to places that they may never have gone. And a lot of times that money came out of our pockets. And so it was investing in them. And what we heard was, and one of the little kids said it. He was like, "I'm telling you, I'm glad we had a chance to talk about this, because I was going to school and I was going to punch so and so, like I was getting ready to fight." But they were good kids coming from good homes. Whether it had one parent, two parent, whatever, grandmama, right? Like you said, they had those aunties. They were investing that time, and some of them had parents who couldn't invest that time, but still loved their kids and wanted to put them in something or someplace, first of all, that they could afford. Let's look at aftercare and all this stuff that's being cut. They don't have the money for all of this stuff. And so, yeah, it's just taking that and really allowing them and building relationship with them, because sometimes they're not going to say everything in the midst of everybody, right? Sometimes they need to know that they can come to you and say, can I have a conversation with you? And that they can trust you. If they're telling you something that can't be exposed to the whole crowd, how are we going to handle this, right? How are we going to deal with this and have this conversation, and being that space where if they need to be with you by themselves and say no to the rest of the crowd, then let's have that conversation about what no looks like. And if you get mad at so-and-so, what you get mad at her for, right? I just got a phone call last week. The lady was crying, same thing that we're talking about here. Her son got in a car with somebody that had a gun, didn't know that the guy had a gun. Good kid, raised right, came from had no clue. So again, that village, we got to rebuild the village and the community. Yeah. We have to.
And I'm going to piggyback after Dr. Angeline. So you're doing it on a structured space, in a structured space, but we don't have to do it on a structured space. I
don't do it in structured spaces. Okay. I go in the community. I bring them in my house. Sometimes if I can write a grant and get the grant money, I go in the schools. Okay. But absolutely not. I'm in the community. And what I'm really pushing for now is place-based learning. Place-based community learning, because our communities were our first classrooms. And when you don't bring our communities into the curriculum, I'm doing something right now where I'm preparing a tour called The Hidden Curriculum of That City. Is Blackness all throughout that city, right? So how do we build this as curriculum and then teach the kids to then be able to become curators of their own neighborhoods and find out what happened to their neighborhoods versus what's wrong with them. Right? How do we build these type of spaces?
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I want just give me a brief response, because I know you were about to say something, but I want to run the video, and then I also want to just like comment on Sean, because I looked him up while you guys were talking. So what were you gonna say, Dominique?
No, I was just saying that we and you're doing it community wide, but what I was gonna say is we just need people that are willing to do it. Right? We have children all around us. We need people in all of the spaces to just say, hey, I found out about this free program. I'm going to take the kids. I have conversations with all the kids around me. They'll come to me. They're open and honest with me, and I allow them to be. And we have to be open to those things. You don't have to be an educator. You don't have to have a title. None of that. You just have to be somebody that cares. I am a mom where when your child is with me, that's my child.
Yep.
You can drop your child off at my home. If you need help, let me know. We'll get your child there. When I find out about stuff, I'm rallying all the kids, the parents. We're going to get there. Whether you want to be, like, it was a program I took them to be an engineer. You don't have to want to be one. You can get exposure. You're going to learn how to stand up and speak and say your name and be confident and be in rooms. And it's just people, everyday people like us that are willing to say, hey, I want more. And I know y'all are the future. And so in order to, create this space and basically, create these young adults that are productive, that want more, that are responsible, that are going to make good decisions, is people like us, everyday people like us that are saying, hey, you're not my biological child, but you're my child, and I love you, and I want the best for you. I don't like what you did. You did something wrong. I don't like that. And let me tell you how this can be harmful. And having those real conversations, and they will be open to come to you, instead of getting in trouble, they'll open up to you. But we also have to be responsive to whatever they say, not offensive, not mad, like, oh, that's stupid. No, their frontal lobes are not even developed. They need people that love them and they feel the love. You show them the love. And so it's just everyday people like us that are willing to step up and say, I love these kids enough that I'm going to show up. I'll go talk to the teacher. I'll have a conversation with mom or dad on your behalf, because I see kids in the community. I remember I was at a store and it was some young boys being bothered because of the fact that they had an electric bike and they were African American. And I was in the store when a lady came into the store to tell them, the people in the store, that they were trying to steal bikes. And I just pulled my car up beside them and I stood there. They come outside. I said, they're their bikes. Don't bother them. But you need people, just everyday people that are willing to protect and stand up for our children.
Well, I think that that's also what we used to have, right? Miss Edie next door used to press my hair. The lady over here used to do this. We had we still have community at church, but church was a huge part of my community. The neighbors were a huge part of our foundation with everything. They could check you if they saw you doing something you weren't supposed to do, mainly because they had us. I mean, if you really think about it, we was outside all day long, all day long, like
all day long.
Until the street lights came on. Like, what in the world? It wasn't even the safest thing, but you didn't even see your mama. Like, go outside, right? Yeah. So outside is where we spend 90% of our time. And if that's the case, then you ran into neighbors. Stop doing that. Don't do that. I'm gonna tell your mama. But these days, the mama will come and try to fight you. Like, I heard you told my daughter, and you don't know if you're gonna get shot or not. So I think that's the part, or beat up or whatever. They come over to jump you. And I think that's the thing that's missing now in our community. So I'm gonna go to this next video, and because we're almost out of time, I want to end on time, even though we started late. So the Root actually ran a story on Sean. So that's how much of a difference he was from the other guys. Like the how Sean Gathright traded a bright future for a life in prison after Julio Fulio's murder. Okay, so Sean Gathright ran a business and loved photography, yet a jury recommended him for life without parole for his role in the execution of Julio Fulio. Long before he stood in front of the judge in a drab orange jumpsuit, Sean Gathright was a young man defined by his hustle. He was ambitious. He was an ambitious teenager who operated his own power washing business with an eye for photography and plans to invest in real estate and vending machines. He lived with his mother and had no gang affiliations. He was considered and known by everybody as a good kid. And so I think he just allowed, it says Gathright was 18 years old when he allowed himself to be pulled into a lethal, unforgiving, gravitational pull of a Jacksonville gang war. On the night of on that summer night, he joined a heavily armed mass group tracking rising star 26-year-old Charles Jones, better known as Julio Fulio, across campus during a week trip meant to celebrate the rapper's birthday. So let me tell y'all what happened. So basically, it's Julio or Julio Fulio, whatever. But I remember he was just very destructive. Young man who was a rapper. I saw his videos before he passed away or got killed. He was asking for this, by the way. He was asking to be murdered. So he was like he had gone over and gone to the guy, one of the guys that pushed up on him. He went to his mother's grave and like pissed on it or something. Like he was asking for and really like egging people on, right? And getting video and posting it online while he was at the mother's grave of his enemy saying, "What you gonna do? Like, I piss on this," right? Like, he was just, like they were in a real beef, right? And then they would shoot, somebody would shoot him up and he get shot, but he wouldn't die. And like, it was just a whole bunch of drama. So how Sean ended up in this situation, like, feeling like you have loyalty to your friend. So I would say it like this. Say we're all in a room. You, Dominique, and me, Dominique, and Dr. Angeline. And some people roll up on one of us. Naturally, I'm gonna be like, "What you say to my queen? What you say to my sis? Y'all better back up." There's just an innate want to have a loyalty to the two of y'all because we roll, right? Especially if we're close. And so I think that's the one thing that we also have to explore in our community is like the things that we're loyal to, the things that our kids are loyal to, like having that loyalty and really having the emotional intelligence to be like, "Nah, I get it." Yeah, everybody, I mean, myself included, have been watching this war unfold online randomly in my algorithm. So I can only imagine what it's like to actually be in the middle of it. And this your friend, and this guy is taunting you all, talking to you all a certain way, feeling like you need that revenge, especially being young. So I just wanted to just like give you guys an update and just that, like why that was even part of this. Does anybody want to respond before I go to our next video? Do you have any thoughts?
So I agree with you 100%. We have to teach them to be, I know they're young, right? But we have to teach them to control. And I know it's hard. I'm not saying it like it's unrealistic, but somebody has to say, you know what, it ain't even worth it. Let's walk away because it can cost us our life and our livelihood. And I know they're young, so I'm not unrealistic about that. But when you're having these conversations with them, it's okay. And what I used to tell my daughter when she was growing up, and she'll be 21 now, I used to say, you may be the reason that somebody else turns away. If you don't want to go and everybody else is going that way, you turning away may cause somebody else to turn away, but they didn't have the confidence or the courage to do it. And so those are the conversations I really feel like we should have. So when we're around these kids, having these conversations, like it's not even worth it. The loudest one is the weakest one. Like, really having these real conversations. They're acting like that because they got some stuff going on the inside of them. Don't let them pull you into that.
That's right.
Be proactive, not reactive. Check the stuff. You don't even know these people. Why you even care what they think about you? And being willing to walk away. And I get it. They're your boys and you want to stand up for your boys, but you're telling your boys or your girls, hey, I get it. They're stupid for real. It ain't even worth it. And so having those conversations, like we got to get deeper with them and say, hey, people are going to trigger you. You're human. We have emotions. You're going to get angry. I get angry. But is it going to be worth you jeopardizing it all? It's not. For people that don't even care about themselves. So why would they care about you?
Yeah, Dr. Angeline?
I question too if the whole neighborhood knew who this man was, the rapper, and he was acting. Where was somebody in the neighborhood, or did somebody in the neighborhood pull him in? Right? What was the root of all that triggered him to act like that? And then I do also want us to remember that sometimes when you walk away, depending where you live, what block you live on, you might get it from the group that's because you didn't defend, right? So sometimes our kids are caught in this crossfire, like, I know my mama told me, say no, and I gotta walk away. But if I walk away, what's going to happen? What's this gang, this group going to do to me as well? Am I still going to walk out alive? Am I still going to, what's going to happen to me? What may even happen to my family? Like this thing is layered. It's so layered, right? And sometimes they will risk themselves thinking that they're being protectors even, or just fear, natural born fear as well. So again, we keep saying it, we have to build those systems, right? Those communal systems that that they can go to when they need to go. Yeah.
I have another quick question. Do we know, because from what they say, he had active parents. Did the parents know that he was hanging with a person like this? That's what I'm curious to know. Like, did they know, or was he doing it behind their back? Was he sneaking? I would love to know that, because as an active parent, like I'm watching, and granted, again, I can't control everything, so I'm not saying it like that. But at least I have an idea of what's going on, and I'm having different type of conversations. Like, you know what he's into. Why would you hang around? You're gonna end up dead or in jail. Like having those conversations. I'm curious to know if the parents knew that he was hanging around with, that type of a person.
Yeah, or that type of a crowd. The answer is I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's what was happening. And I'm sure if his mother would have like been in retrospect, because you like you said, you don't know everybody that your children come into contact with all day, but the people that they hang with regularly. So I'm thinking about him being heavily armed and a mask, like he committed to whoever it was, whoever the person that he was, the main homie, because sometimes you don't know all of them. Sometimes you like, I want to defend that person, that's my homie, so I'm gonna roll with them. I'm gonna say this, and don't nobody laugh. I'm gonna say shut up before. When I was young, I thought I was in a gang. Right? When I was young, I thought I was in a gang. I thought that don't judge me. I thought I was a Crip, right? And I hung with Crips. I hung around men who were Crips. And when I think about it, I was 13 years old when one of the guys who was a Crip was trying to teach me how to sell drugs. And so he literally put a crack rock in my hand and was like, "Go serve them. Here's how you do it." And like when I tell you, I grabbed it and like walked towards the lady in the direction, and then the task force like drove by. And I was like, no, here, you can have this back. Like, I was just playing. Like, I literally was like, I was gangster, but I was scared. But I feel like it was that. Like, I don't know. There was something in me that was like, yeah, no. Or I would have these situations where I would be in the middle of a situation and I'd be like, this doesn't feel right. And then there would be like a drive-by or something, like, because they used to hang outside and rival crews would drive by and whatever. And we was just out there hanging, just trying to be down. So just imagine 13, 14-year-old just thinking like, oh no, these are my, and my uncle was like, nope, nope, you about to start going to church with me. So, like your gang is gonna be with Jesus. And so, and that's how when I started going to church, naturally all of that melted away. He was like, you gonna sing in this praise and worship, you gonna go to these group ministries ministries. And before I knew it, it was all about Jesus, right? So it's so important to just make sure because we're so at that time, I feel like those teenagers, like you said, the frontal cortex is not developed. So you just going wherever you're looking. I was looking for community. That's what I was looking for, without no understanding what it was. It was like, this is fun. These guys, these girls, these people make me feel like I belong, right? And depending on where you come from, I wasn't raised with parents, so I can see all the connections depending on who was where and what. So I was just looking for family. And
Yeah.
so I thought I was a Crip. So y'all learned that about me today. Krista, what's up, Kev? I thought I was a Crip.
Quick
But
question. Do we know if any of these Black organizations are standing up for this young man? Do we know that? I would love to know, like, where's all the Black organizations? Again, like because what I look at here in Philly, that's what they do. They take these cases and say, let's look at this. Let's examine this.
He did it. He did it. What are we advocating for? He has to live. He has to do time.
There's
Right? He was
consequences for
there.
your actions.
Wait, so
Yeah, he got him.
but was he there or did
He was
he?
there. He was there. He was there with
Yeah.
a gun and a mask and shooting just
Oh.
like his friends. I'm just saying
Oh, okay.
it was
Okay.
that decision being made. I'm
Okay.
just saying before all of that, he seemed like everybody was like, yeah, you got a great head on your
Oh,
shoulders, but something happened. So let
yeah.
me play this. I want to play the last video, but actually I want the last video to be the repeat of the first video. I know there's a video in here, but I want you all to see it. For the people that just came in, I remember Anonymous came in late. There's some other people in the chat that came in late. I just want y'all to see it, so then we could all be on one accord with what needs to happen next. So like, I want us to hear what the ex-warden says one more time. You hear me, Ka? No, y'all, y'all want, I want to do it one more time, just so we can all really put it in our spirits. And then I would love for our final thoughts to be talking to those young people without being long-winded, y'all. We can't be on here talking for 3 minutes, but without being long-winded. Think about what you want to say to the youth that will be impacted by this. Like, let's just try to like stop it at the root if we can. So you are in a room talking to youth, and I know you do it all the time, Dr. Angeline, but and we all do to some extent. But I want to know, what you would say to them and the parents. So just prepare for that in a short, concise kind of way. All right, here we go,
What
y'all.
do you mean sweat equity? I think the term you're looking for is slave labor.
So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
The fact that the for-profit prison system needs more bodies for slave labor should have absolutely zero factor in an individual person's sentencing. Their crime and their crime alone should be the factors in sentencing. Also maybe criminal history and their likelihood to reoffend, but you have to watch this.
Based on Mr. Gathwright's age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes, with my experience, not only just in classification, but as former warden and even as a jail administrator. He's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration, we have that. So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
Sweat equity? Really? You mean slave labor. Oh, the slave labor that you currently have is getting old, so you need new, young, strong slave labor? To be
I want to take it off. Okay. So I just wanted us to hear his words one last time. And I'm going to we're going to get out of here, y'all. We thank you so much for staying with us. If you don't know, you were watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset. It's a mindset conversation and money, and master your money. But Dominique, I'll start with you. When you hear that, again, to me, it sounds like a slavery block. It sounds like they are sizing up Black men. What do you say to mothers with young sons and to the sons in a really concise, brief way?
So I'm gonna speak to the sons and the daughters because daughters
Yes.
are going to jail too.
That's
Your
correct.
actions today can change your tomorrow. So give your future self a chance and watch your company, watch the people that you hang around because birds of a feather flock together and evil communication corrupts good manners. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
I can be found on all social media platforms at the Whitmore Group, and you go to our website at thewhitmoregroup.com.
And that's Whitmore Group. She doesn't have it in her down in the thing. You got to make sure you put it down there.
Today is one of them days.
It's one of them. It's been one of those days. It's just one of those days. All right, Dr. Angeline, and in the chat, I want to hear from you. What do you tell mothers and sons? What are we saying to them? If a mother is watching this, we want them to also read the chat so it can pop up in their timeline as well. So I'll put those up. If it's good, I'll put it up on screen so we can have it forever documented. Dr. Angeline, what do you say?
One of the things that I ask parents is, how do you speak? Do you speak at your child, with your child, or to your child? Right? That's one of the things, because words are definitely life and words are power. And I ask the children, who are you? What do you say about yourself? Right? Because what you say about you matters, not what others say about you. And we live in a society that cares nothing about us. Right? We're not going to beat around the bush. They don't like Black skin. So let's talk about why. Let's talk about your greatness. Let's talk about your identity and who are you. But the one thing, I especially do it even in my own family, like, what did you just say to them? No, let's back that up. And make sure that all the kids have some type of affirmation that they say about themselves daily. So yeah, watch your words, because your words are life and your words are power. And they hear enough negativity when they walk out their house, when they go to the store, when they go to school, all of that. And it's up to us to pour into them who they really are.
Yeah. And where can people find you?
So I'm Dr. Angeline Dean. You could find me at Intersystems with a Z on the end .rocks or info@melanatedneurons.com.
Make sure you check her out. Make sure you check them out. These queens out. My final thought is this: just as somebody that works. I'm an artist at heart. Creatively, I have made movies. I've written album. I've written an album, but I've written music, and I understand the power of the things that we watch. Not only the people that we hang with, but the things that we are exposed to, that we are constantly watching. The music. I heard somebody earlier say that they're listening to much real music, especially in Chicago. But there is like music is the only thing that can pierce your subconscious without you involuntarily, right? Involuntarily, right? You can't control it piercing you. So when you listen to things, they become mantras of yours over and over and over again. And if the music just happens to be like kill, 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 murder, 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 hurt, 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 you don't even know why. Like I'm telling y'all, I thought I was a gangster, but I would listen. I loved Lil Wayne a whole lot, but at some point I had to stop listening to Lil Wayne because in the morning I be driving to work shooting at the steering wheel and be like, why am I shooting at the steering? Like, why are you so aggressive? Right. And not understanding. And so, at some point I really started to, I started to work with Les Brown and he told me, I remember when he said for 6 months, just cut it all out. Just listen to things that are affirming, listen to my tapes, listen to, you know, Joel Osteen, listen to whoever, right? Listen to just things that are positive and good for your spirit. And like I listen to just gospel, even though I listen to that anyway, but I listen to it around the clock, like motivational things, and it really changed my spirit. Now I can't even listen to rap like that because it's too toxic. So I think just thinking about that, like observing all the things that we're being exposing ourselves to, not only people, but energies that are coming from those people. When you're playing music, you are getting those people's energy. When you are watching television of somebody being killed, those are scenes out of a movie. People do not die for real. But I think we're so desensitized to seeing people die and thinking like this is like a video game. Like they'll get back up and get a life. No, right? So I would just say that. Like just really let's really pay attention to the things that we're putting in all of our spirits, our children's spirits, and not just saying it's just entertainment. They know the difference. Sometimes they don't. So those are my final thoughts. We thank you so much for watching Fly Nubian Money. If you are interested in working with me or working with us here, I'm looking for new queens. So send me a message at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. And actually, I'm looking for queens and kings. So if you're interested, go ahead and send me an email. And I would love to, to meet you and see if you're right for this platform. Also, if you are interested, if you love what we do here and you know this is our ministry and want to get updates when we go live, text Queens to 87948. We are also on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, then you can listen to us on the go. Take us in the car with you. We will be there having these same conversations. We are here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's what I have for us today. Y'all, I love y'all in a real way. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for listening. I thank my queens for coming and joining us today, Dominique and Dr. Angeline. I appreciate you so much. And everybody in the chat, Deborah, what's up? Thank you so much, girl. Anonymous, the Black Lexicon. I mean, my usual suspects. Is Double A here? Like, there's certain people I just know is going to be in this thing. But I appreciate you. Thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate you. And we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same channel. All right. We'll see you soon.